I do see me in you, and you see me in you.
Oh, we weren't surprised when we found out when you were Nigerian. Brave, resilient, courageous, powerful, beautiful.
And to just be honest with each other. I do see me in you, and you see me in you.
Ever since the massive rebranding failures, the Oprah interview, the podcast Archetypes, the Harry and Meghan documentary, Meghan's looked for new ways of branding herself, one more desperate than the other. I wonder why all the attempts have failed, considering all the terrible things Meghan had to endure in the UK. I mean, just listen to this.
I wrote letters to his family when I got there saying, I am dedicated to this. I'm here for you. Use me as you'd like. There was no guidance as well, right? Mm-hmm. There were certain things that you couldn't do, but unlike what you see in the movies, there's no class on how to speak, how to cross your legs.
Nobody prepares you.
But even down to like the national anthem. No one thought to say, oh, you're American. You're not going to know that. That's me late at night Googling, what's the national, I've got to learn this. I don't want to embarrass them. I need to learn these 30 hymns for church.
I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get emotional here.
When I had done the genealogy and found out about my heritage, the first thing I did obviously was call my mom because I wanted to know if she had any awareness of it. And I think being African American, part of it is really not knowing so much about your lineage, your background, where you come from specifically, and it was exciting for both of us to discover more and understand what that really means.
The common denominator in nearly all of Meghan's self-branding is that there's something special or unique about her personality, and what she's up to. Meghan rarely, if ever, leaves the conclusions up to people. Instead, she guides people what to think of her. For instance, she made her complaints about some random, politically incorrect soap commercial sound like a humanitarian effort.
When the soap manufacturer changed the commercial, they changed it from women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans to people all over America. It was at that moment that I realized the magnitude of my actions. At the age of 11, I had created my small level of impact by standing up for equality.
And she made her fashion sense sound unique by contrasting it to other people's fashion sense, or lack thereof.
On my visits to SmartWorks, one of the times that I went, I realized there was a little bit of a challenge in terms of styling for the women because we had a lot of donations, but not necessarily the things that women needed to have. I said, okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And then the next time I went, you'll remember this, there was a rack of about 40 or 50 lilac-colored blazers. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a great blazer, and I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing. But for most women, you want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way, and not the leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season. The leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season. It's a great blazer.
Thus, it's hardly surprising that Meghan's now branding herself and her genealogy in order to gain a new following that'll hopefully listen to her, hopefully from Meghan's perspective, even though all people get these tests done every day without needing entire countries to applaud them for it. It's a lazy type of self-branding because it isn't based on merits or talent. It's solely based on her supposed background, and it points to a recurring key feature of Meghan's rhetoric, groupthink, as evidenced by Meghan's use of the pronoun you, associating with the group she's constituting, and thus generalizing her opinion, as if everyone in the room thinks like she does.
Part of it is really not knowing so much about your lineage, your background, where you come from specifically.
Meghan's unusually preoccupied with getting certain demographics to think of themselves as group members rather than as individuals. Group members who are expected to believe and want the same, simply because of the innate characteristics they happen to share.
As women, it is 100% our responsibility, I think, to support and uplift each other, to champion each other as we aim to succeed, to not set each other up for failure, but instead to really be there rallying around each other and say, I want to help you.
What does it mean to uplift, champion, and help each other? That's completely dependent on the situation. If someone says or does something wrong, they shouldn't be uplifted, regardless of the gender they happen to have. However, that's where groupthink inevitably leads, to praising things that shouldn't be praised, because people don't dare go against the group. Groupthink-based rhetoric has a self-serving purpose. It always benefits the speaker. Before returning to Meghan's powerful speech in Nigeria, let's watch 2 excerpts that exemplify this.
So much brilliance on this panel. To really wrap your head around why people would be so hateful. What I find the most disturbing, frankly, especially as a supporter of women, is how much of the hate is women completely spewing that to other women. And I cannot make sense of that.
The reason why Meghan acts like she can't make sense of that is because she wants people to think about themselves as group members so that they don't criticize her. The idea that you shouldn't criticize anyone who shares your innate characteristics is absurd, and she doesn't call it criticism. No, it's all hate in Meghan's view, which is a highly convenient oversimplification so that she doesn't have to deal with each criticism specifically.
So hateful. The systemic change has to happen at the same time as the cultural change is happening, because if you're reading something terrible about a woman, why are you sharing it with your friends? Why are you choosing to put that out in the world?
Maybe because it's true, because everything isn't simply hate, no matter how much Meghan wants it to be. Maybe because innate characteristics don't determine whether or not you can criticize someone. And certainly haven't stopped Meghan from sharing private issues about Catherine, for example.
A few days before the wedding, she was upset about something pertaining to, yes, the issue was correct, about flower girl dresses, and it made me cry. And it really hurt my feelings. And I thought, in the context of everything else that was going on in those days leading to the wedding, that it didn't make sense to not be just doing what everyone else was doing, which was trying to be supportive, knowing what was going on with my dad and whatnot.
Why are you sharing it with your friends?
Maybe because people have ears and know manipulation when they hear it. Just a few possible answers to Meghan's order that's masked as a question. Okay, back to the empowering speech where Meghan continues with a hyperbole, a million years, just to set the right dramatic tone when she underlines her world-changing discovery, which is totally relevant to all people and not just Meghan.
Never in a million years would I understand it as much as I do now.
Being here, right?
Being here. And what has been echoed so much, really, in the past day by men and women alike is, oh, we weren't surprised when we found out when you were Nigerian. Oh, no.
The verb echoed is interesting because people like Meghan have a habit of looking for people who validate their story, validate the image they want people to have of them. To Meghan and like-minded people, it's part of the attention supply they need. However, people who criticize them and thus don't just love them unconditionally are referred to as haters and judgmental, which can be termed oversimplification as a defense mechanism. The most extreme example of echoing is found in the following excerpt, also from Nigeria.
Yes, I do see me and you see me and you, but as I look around this room, I see myself in all of you as well.
When speakers don't actually say anything, but only want to hear themselves talk, this is what happens. This is Meghan deciding on other people's behalf how they should see her. The fact that Meghan says that she sees herself in them speaks to a prominent sense of self-importance, how she's the constant focus of her thoughts and statements. And now that the audience members have some of Meghan in them, allegedly, how can they ever criticize her? Groupthink-based rhetoric always has a self-serving purpose. It turns people into allies, even though people have never been asked if they want to be allies. Rhetorically, there's no choice. Meghan rarely, if ever, says anything that isn't self-serving, and in a moment it becomes clear why she mentioned this.
And what has been echoed so much, really, in the past day by men and women alike is, oh, we weren't surprised when we found out when you were Nigerian. Oh, no.
But no doubt that these men and women alike gave their honest and totally unbiased opinion. The reason why Meghan says this isn't merely to use other people to make her claim seem credible. It's also and primarily a stepping stone to some of the most self-aggrandizing statements I've ever heard. Brace yourself.
Oh, we weren't surprised when we found out when you were Nigerian. Oh, no. And I say that mostly as a compliment to all of you, because what they define as a Nigerian woman is brave, resilient, courageous, powerful, beautiful.
So, did Meghan actually compliment the people in the room? No, because of the preface.
Oh, we weren't surprised when we found out when you were Nigerian.
Meghan attributes these positive characteristics to herself first and foremost. This is extreme self-praise and speaks to personality, because not everyone would sing their own praises like this.
What they define as a Nigerian woman is...
It's very convenient that they said that and that they all said the same. Unless it's actually Meghan saying it, which seems a lot more plausible. Interestingly, Meghan's way of phrasing this is deceptive.
And I say that mostly as a compliment to all of you, because...
She says, I say that, showing a high level of self-awareness of what she says and why she says it, including the preface that gave her the opportunity to glorify herself.
Oh, we weren't surprised when we found out when you were Nigerian.
She uses the adverb mostly, which is restrictive language that presupposes that there are other reasons why she says this, namely to glorify herself. This is self-aggrandizement masked as praising other people. Even without the deception part, what Meghan says makes no sense. How can you say to an entire room full of people that they're brave, resilient and powerful? You can't, because there are individual differences, obviously. This speaks to the deceptive nature of the groupthink-based rhetoric that politicians use, and that Meghan needs to use in order to get her self-serving, self-glorifying points across, because in reality, people who happen to share the same innate characteristics can be vastly different from each other in terms of opinions, goals, etc. Hey. So how's my favorite and only employee? I'm doing fine, sir. I just wanted to say that you're brave, resilient, courageous, powerful, and you have a beautiful soul. Thank you, sir. And we'd like to keep it that way, wouldn't we? So, as the brave, resilient, courageous, powerful, and beautiful soul you are, you don't mind working this weekend, right? I have plans this weekend, sir. But of course, I can always see if I can change them. That's the brave and courageous spirit we like here. Next, she emphasizes her travels, underlining her supposed ethos.
I often find that in whatever travels I've done, regardless if it's Nigeria or another country around the world, oftentimes when women reach the peak of success, they leave. But you need to come back home. You need to at least be a familiar face for the next generation to say, oh, she looks like me, and I can be that.
Yes, because it's not like people have access to social media and can find these supposed role models themselves, irrespective of where these role models come from. This is groupthink-based rhetoric to the nth degree and speaks to the postmodern distortion of the concept diversity. Meghan and like-minded people aren't concerned with diversity of thought, but with how people look and what they were born as, which is a literally superficial view. Also, as per usual, this is generic language with no real meaning, because would Meghan actually want anyone to be a familiar face? Even a woman who doesn't approve of Meghan's definitions or distortions of terms like inclusion and diversity, or doesn't agree with her about other issues.
Why are you sharing it with your friends? Why are you choosing to put that out in the world?
It's always the least inclusive people who are the busiest branding themselves as inclusive.
I've said this for so many years, and I hope that it starts to land, but I think we can all agree that representation matters, and it actually creates an environment that is so fair, but also inclusive.
And I think that is a really key piece in all of it, where success isn't defined by, oh, you've gotten out, you've gone somewhere else. It's defined by, and you still always want to come back home. Because that's how you're going to help shift any sort of generational pattern that might be stifling, especially for young girls.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say that Meghan's talking about herself again, because she came home after a short but quite memorable stay in the UK. And it's well known that she wants to be seen as an inspiration for other people.
Like Emily, who's right here. I only know her through Twitter, and I knew she was coming because I saw it on social media.
Stop it, really?
Yes, and she's going on a trip soon to Costa Rica to do some aid work because she said that my UN stuff inspired her. I wrote you a letter. I brought it.
Okay, that is amazing.
For the past couple weeks, I've been planning on saying a few words to you for your graduation. And I remember my teacher at the time, one of my teachers, Miss Palia, said to me before I was leaving for a day of volunteering, always remember to put others' needs above your own fears. And that has stuck with me through my entire life, and I have thought about it more in the last week than ever before.
It's defined by, and you still always want to come back home.
So according to her own convenient definition of success, Meghan must be a success.
I do see me and you see me and you, but as I look around this room, I see myself in all of you as well.
Yes, because you can totally say that about people you don't know and who, more importantly, don't know you. Meghan behaves as if people should think of it as an honor that she sees herself in them, allegedly. Next, it's time for more of the generic, unsubstantiated statements that Meghan should have a PhD in by now.
To have our first visit to Nigeria, be here with all of you. We believe in you, we believe in your futures, we believe in your ability to continue to tell your stories, and to just be honest with each other. There is no need to suffer in silence. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, and that begins with your mental health. I'm really talking about whatever's coming up for you. So thank you to all of you, thank you to these teams, to our executive director of the R12 Foundation, whose birthday it is today. There is no need to suffer in silence.
Meghan sure taking her own advice on that, which is wonderful to see.
That's me late at night Googling.
I'm really talking about whatever's coming up for you. So thank you to all of you, thank you to these teams, to our executive director of the R12 Foundation, whose birthday it is today.
It makes sense why Meghan's in a hurry to thank people. It saves her from having to ground her generic claims. What does she mean by believing in them? How does she believe in their futures? And what's the logical connection between believing in their futures and mental health?
We believe in you, we believe in your futures. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, and that begins with your mental health.
This maneuver appears to be a lot more about branding herself and her foundation.
To our executive director of the R12 Foundation, whose birthday it is today.
Than giving specifics of any kind, which isn't exactly the first time.
What do you think what does a healthy social media environment look like to you in the future when you think about this work that your foundation is doing?
To be honest, I don't know. As a dad, I don't know. As a human, I'm not sure.
This is an event about solutions to young people's online-related problems. So how can they find a solution when apparently they don't know what the goal is? However, that's not enough to stop Meghan from calling this a high-level conversation and talking about other things.
And the more information we have, the more information gathering we're able to do, the more we can have these high-level conversations and try to move the needle a little bit. Being a mom is the most important thing in my entire life, and outside, of course, being a wife to this one.
The reason why there's so little content in Meghan's interviews and speeches is because she's constantly focused on image, on determining people's perception of her and the causes she allegedly advocates for, failing to realize how contrived her statements come across. I hope you found this video courageous and powerful. Like and subscribe for more brave and resilient videos. Have a beautiful day.